Hi, Guy Ardito here, relationship expert, author, and coach. And today I want to talk about upset style, how it impacts your relationship, and how you can make it better. So, what do I mean by upset style? I mean, how are we when there's something that we're upset about, maybe even angry about? How do we deal with it, and how do we express it to not just the person that maybe we're upset or angry with, but to and around our partner, particularly when we're upset or angry around something with them? And there are lots of different metaphors that people use. Sometimes this notion of an extrovert and introvert, or a storm and a sea. A buddy of mine told me a really good one the other day. I likened it to a hailstorm and a turtle. Now, the key point is that typically people fall into one of two camps when they're upset. One person, the storm or the extrovert, is going to be out there and sharing and wanting to keep going and going and dealing with something until they feel that it's been resolved. Or people fall into the camp of being the introvert or the turtle. And that is when they're upset about something, they draw more and more and more inside themselves. And neither one is right or wrong, but they are two very clearly different styles. And when it comes to love, very often we find ourselves in a situation of being with the opposite. But for a moment, let's just talk what happens when we're the same. Well, if both of us are storms, then when there's anything that we're upset about, we're going to go clash and clash and clash and clash. Now, the good thing is that ultimately we'll probably not let anything get to a point where it's festering and stewing, but there's probably going to be a lot of continuing drama. If you and your partner are both on the introverted scale or the turtle scale, then there's probably not going to be drama, but the problem is that upsets are going to tend to linger. You're both going to internalize things, and these are the relationships that kind of seem okay, but kind of quietly die over time as the partners drift away and build up resentments and hurt without really letting the other person know. And a third possibility is when one of you is the extrovert and the other is the introvert. One of you is a storm, the other is a turtle. And this produces a very interesting dynamic because while the extrovert, the storm, is going to express when they're upset about something, their partner, the introvert or the turtle, is going to retreat. That's going to make the storm person feel like they're being abandoned, and they're going to get into more and more of a storm mode, which is going to make the turtle person feel more and more attacked, and they're going to be retreating more and more, which creates a cycle, as you can see, on and on and on and on, of not getting anywhere, of continuing frustration and friction. So the question is, what do you do about it? Well, the first part is to acknowledge, to recognize what's going on. What role are you playing? What role is your partner playing? Because, once you have understanding, you can begin to make intelligent decisions. Number two, if you're a turtle or an introvert, you have to learn to share things a bit more. Because the problem is that problems don't just typically go away. If you're upset about something, it's probably going to linger. Now, you can try various types of meditation techniques and Zen, and there's quite a bit that you can let go, but most people still are going to have some number of things that are going to upset them. And if you retreat, if you internalize, that's going to be punishing your partner and ultimately punishing you as well as your relationship deteriorates. So you really owe it to both of you guys and your family, if you have any children as well, to really bring things out when you can so they can get worked out. Now, on the flip side, if you're an extrovert, if you're a storm, the trick is not to bring every little thing up all the time and want to claw at it and get it to the end. I certainly fall into that camp. My wife is definitely on kind of the introvert turtle side, and my desire to get to the bottom of everything and work things out leaves her feeling like I'm always picking at scabs. And the important point here is that neither one of us are right. It's just how we tend to interpret a situation and what we tend to do about it. So I have to respect that she feels that way, and frankly, I have to respect the fact that, a life of just nonstop drama is a life when you never get to just be and settle and appreciate. So I have to let a certain amount of that go, not to not have things worked out, but not to always keep digging and digging and digging and digging. Just like she works to share more when she's upset about something rather than sitting on top of it. So that's number two. The third part, I should say, is actually developing good problem resolution techniques. Part of that is understanding where your partner is coming from, both of you. The person who is upset needs to understand where the person who upset them is coming from, why they might have done what they've done. Just like the person who is being caught in the middle needs to understand how the person is getting upset and why they're upset. And you both have to practice the art of forgiveness. You know, if you're in a relationship with each other, there is love there. Maybe you're at a low point and you're doubting that, but if there was love there at one time, there can be love there again. I absolutely guarantee you that. And the trick is to hold on to that. Which leads me into the next technique. When you're dealing with something, when you're sharing an upset, be with your partner. Don't be on your phone. Don't do it while you're driving. Don't do it while you're watching TV. Be present 100%, 110% with them. If you can, look them in the eyes. This creates intimacy and connection. Hold their hand. Again, this creates intimacy and connection. Lets you know that you want to work something out. Because at the end of the day, behind every hurt, behind every upset, behind every anger is a hurt or a fear. And what we do in our relationship, well, what we should be doing is helping our partner feel that there's no reason to be hurt, there's no reason to be afraid. All too often we wind up hurting the one we love, making them feel afraid of, abandonment or something, whatever is going on for them. I can't get into all that right now, obviously. But the point is to appreciate that, to acknowledge that, to always make sure we're doing what we can to help our partners feel loved, to feel secure, to feel heard. So, those are my main points for today. What do we cover? We covered the upset styles of extroverts and introverts, or storms and turtles, as they say. We covered what can happen when two storms get together, when two turtles get together, and when you have a turtle and a storm. We talked about when you actually come to resolving a problem, what do you have to do? You have to appreciate the other person's side. You have to actually be present with them. You have to create that intimacy. You have to create that shared connection. And finally, be ready to apologize. Even if you're the one who feels wronged, apologize for being angry at your lover. Because at the end of the day, any piece of anger that we have risks our relationship, risks our love. And that's not what we want to do. We always want to be growing our love, growing our security, growing our relationship. And any upset, any fight is an opportunity to do just that. It's an opportunity to get closer, to understand each other better, and to turn things around. So I hope you found that useful. Again, if you're interested in any of my programs or coaching with me, or you and your partner coaching with me, you can find all that information at GuyArdito.com. That's GUYARDITO.com. In the meantime, remember, life is an adventure. Live in love.